Good morning. As if by magic, Anita has appeared after that video. And here with Anita, Indian fashion ambassador, who's gone from 2 sewing machines to a global fashion brand. Now, I visited Anita's, one of Anita's stores 15 minutes away on Saturday. And before you see any of the magnificent clothes, there is a wall that has pictures of these rural artisans. And on the wall, one of the posters said, "Revive, sustain, and empower." So why is that so important to your brand, and how did that start?
Mark, it's very important because India has a rich legacy of crafts. And I fear that today in India, all of us women in the cities, we are so influenced by global fashion. I think Indian women need to feel a sense of pride with the heritage and the craft of their own country. Not only that, I honestly feel the future of India lies with its women, and especially with the women in the villages of India. 70% of India is its villages, and as the minister just spoke, it's a huge, huge number of women who are talented, who've been using these crafts not really to be economically empowered. They've been using these crafts just for themselves, for their families, but today this craft can become a huge source of empowerment to them. So it's very, very important, and which is why, I think it's the need of the hour to empower our artisans.
And this part of your work, it helped reverse the trend whereby these skills were dying or not being utilized in Indian villages, and Indian women were maybe looking to the cities for employment, but you help reverse the trend and help Indian women be empowered in their own
I'm just
village.
a little drop in the ocean. There's so much that needs to be done, but there are huge, huge impacts when you take work back to the villages. Not only does it empower the artisan, it sustains the craft, it prevents migration into cities. There are just so many impacts. It's sustainable. For me, that's social sustainability. The impact is just huge to empower a woman. When you go to the villages and you just hear of how much this part-time work, and again, I'm a firm believer that women in the villages need to be able to work part-time, with all their household chores. They cannot go to factories and work. They cannot migrate to cities. So I'm a firm believer, as a woman myself, that it's important to empower women with work at her place, at her residence, where she lives. It's so much easier on her.
We mentioned
and a champion of part-time work for women.
You mentioned in the green room that government policy has maybe taken your lead, and your work is definitely, it syncs up with Modi's work to the government's work to empower villages. Now,
Yes, so what we do in Maharashtra, we have 2 projects. One is we work with NGOs who work with skilled artisans. Now, these are artisans who have the craft skill, and it's passed down from generation to generation. But in Maharashtra, we work with a lot of rural communities where there is no craft legacy. In fact, I have a very interesting story to tell you. When we first started our first project in Maharashtra, which was about 4.5 years ago, together with Member of Parliament Poonam Mahajan, and we went into the village to basically set up a training center for the village. When we put up the first notice saying that we are setting up a training center for sewing and anyone can apply, we were quite shocked to discover that only 40 women applied, and it's no men, not a single man came forward. Today we have we have 8 such centers with a plan to open 30 more, and which is why I firmly believe that it's the women of this country who will take this country forward, because in all our projects it's only the women who apply, it's not the men who come forward.
and how have you seen villages transformed that have been working with you for a number of years when you go back to these villages and see the women?
We've just begun this work 4 years ago. Today we've seen the transformation, obviously, when the woman is, earning her own income. It changes her equation with the men, it changes her equation in the village. She's treated with more respect. She has the buying power to buy what she likes. It's a huge game changer for the women.
How do you think that your engagement with the rural artisans and women in particular, how do you think that compares to the wider Indian textile industry? Are you is the wider textile industry doing things a bit differently to you, or are they're coming to realize that they need to empower villages as well?
I think the government feels very strongly, and the government has been encouraging most companies to go in and create employment in villages, and I think that is the way forward.
Definitely. So on social sustainability, let's move on to environmental sustainability. Now, we've got a poll for the audience. So a core belief of yours is that your brand is cruelty-free, and hopefully we'll have a poll. Let's see how important it is to you in the audience. Now, unfortunately, Anita, I'm wearing some rather, I think, fetching leather shoes. So is that, where do you think
well, those leather shoes would never be an Anita Dongre shoe. I don't make leather shoes.
I won't take that personally. There we go. So I'd probably, where would I go? For me, I'd go, it's become more important. So it's definitely something that has become more important to me, but again, I'm still wearing leather shoes, so am I a hypocrite, or?
Oh, that's your personal belief, Mark, and I'm hoping that one day you will not buy leather shoes and buy vegan shoes.
Okay, that goes out to everyone in the audience as well. So, on that note, you've previously said that you're sad that major luxury houses are now going sustainable, but surely this can only be a good thing. If major brands are now...
No, I think it's a very good thing, but I also think companies need to go sustainable because they believe in it and not because sustainability today has become a fashionable word. And I think companies, the consumer needs to ask for more sustainable goods, which is why I probably guess companies are doing it. And it just makes one feel sad of the fact that there are still companies that exist that use fur, that still practice cruelty towards animals, whether it's animal testing or killing them for fur, for their skin. That makes me feel sad that in today's world that still exists.
Yeah. So we won't call out individual brands, but if there is a brand that now says they're sustainable, but a major part of their business builds leather handbags, builds leather whatnot.
To me, they're not sustainable then.
Interesting. What about fast fashion? So again, we won't call out any brands, but companies that they deliberately build their clothes to be used for one season, and then next season they're different designs, and they're deliberately designed to either break apart or be thrown in the bin. What's your view on these brands?
I think today companies need to create good quality clothes. Clothing is important. It's an industry that provides employment to millions of people, but we need to create clothing in a responsible fashion, right from sourcing fabrics responsibility to manufacturing responsibly and selling them responsibly. So I just think you need to be mindful of what you do.
So before we get Anita's story to hear, so you started with your brother and sister, correct?
I started with my sister first.
Sister first,
yes.
Started off with 2 sewing machines in one room. What was that like? How did you begin?
I was really young. I was about, I think, all of 23, and with just a burning passion to create the designs that I had in my head and to become an entrepreneur. And I'm just blessed that though I came from a very traditional family, I fought my way and gave myself the opportunities to do what I did. And which is why today my work, I resonate with thousands of women that I see in Indian villages, because like the minister just said before me, that they all just need opportunity. Every woman needs an opportunity to be able to do what she wants to do and to have her voice.
The minister said she didn't need advocates, male or female. Did you have any mentors or?
No, not really, nobody. I just think you have to believe in yourself.
So there's one quote that was amusing to me compared to where you are now. Previously you said you came from a place where good girls didn't work. So you're now a global CEO, so that obviously makes you the naughtiest girl in the world.
Well, that's what that's what a traditional Indian family was taught 30 years ago. Good girls listened to their parents and got married to the boys of their parents' choice.
So did your parents' views evolve as they saw you become?
They did. They resisted everything that I did in the few years, but they evolved with time, and they were wonderful after that.
And obviously being a woman as well in India, a female CEO, now a very successful one, did you feel like you had to work twice as hard to go half as far? That's a quote from Michelle Obama. Does that sort of resonate with you?
I don't really think so. I've never ever felt, ever since I got into the business from day one, that I was a woman. I think when you work, gender just doesn't play an issue. You just work for the sake of work.
And launching your own business, a quote that sticks with me, running your own business is like jumping off a cliff and then trying to build the plane on the way down. Was running your own business, obviously you started by supplying to brands first, then you launched your own business. How's been running your own business? Obviously now it's got very successful, but were there times when you thought, oh my goodness, what the hell have I done?
Sometimes just I think just sometimes the size and scale of the business sometimes scares me. What it's today, it's 1,000 stores today. It just scares me, but momentarily. And we have wonderful professionals in the company today, and I trust them to do what they do best.
How do you feel young Indian female entrepreneurs, how is India different for them compared to when you were starting out? Is it easier?
I think today is easier. Today, young Indian women have had the opportunity to go and study in the best schools globally, come back, and there's so much opportunity for the young Indian woman today, so much. Today is just, it's perfect timing to be a young woman entrepreneur in India today. Yeah. Good.
And your business has changed a little bit recently. So there was an investment by General Atlantic, PE firm.
Yes.
You now have a CEO.
Yes.
How has that changed your day-to-day?
It's made me focus more on creativity, which is something I enjoy the most. So it's made my life easier.
So again, there's another quote that said you were doing absolutely everything as CEO. You were designing.
Yes, I mean when you're an entrepreneur and you've started, you literally do everything. So today it's a luxury for me to be able to do what I really like to do.
Good stuff. So let's talk about your place and your design's place in modern India. So we mentioned previously that obviously I sit next to Malika Kapoor at work, so she told me this. Obviously I wouldn't necessarily know this myself, that a few years ago, well, maybe about a decade ago, it was more common that you might see a middle-class Indian woman go to a dinner party or see her friends and she was dressed in Western clothes, whereas now you're seen as part of the helped the trend where now middle-class Indian ladies will more likely to wear traditional clothes. How do you think that relates to modern India? Is that an India that's now more confident in its past and more confident in its
I definitely
traditions?
think the Indian woman is taking pride in her past, and I think whether she wears a Western outfit or an Indian outfit, she needs to wear something that she's comfortable with. I think what we need just more of is just more pride in our own craft legacy and in our own textiles. So you could be in a dress, you could be in a kurta, but I definitely think Indians should take pride in wearing Indian textiles because our Indian weavers and our artisans need their support. So, I mean, I'm in a dress, but it's a hand-woven dress by a master weaver. So, I think taking pride in our textile base is more important.
Definitely. And then had a striking photo of Beyonce on there, if we could get that back up. So, in non-Indian ladies and men, wearing your designs. Now there is a vocal minority in the West, mainly America, that use the term cultural appropriation. So a person who believes in that might be annoyed that Beyonce is wearing something from India. How do you feel about that?
I mean, she's wearing a mang tikka, which is a very classic Indian piece of jewelry, and I think it looks beautiful on her. And I think in today's global world where you have a Starbucks and a McDonald's in India, you have an idli dosa in New York. I would say it's the same with fashion. I think if a woman anywhere in the world wants to wear, whether it's an Indian lehenga choli or a sari or an Indian piece of jewelry, I definitely don't think it's cultural misappropriation. It's up to her to dress how she likes. I mean, then the Indian woman is also wearing a Western dress. You're wearing a suit, where did that come from? So, it doesn't matter. I don't think that's cultural misappropriation at all. I think everybody should just wear what they like to wear.
Oh yeah, and researching cultural appropriation, I found out that ties come from Croatia. So I hope there's no Croatians in the crowd who are annoyed by my tie.
I feel flattered when women in the West wear our traditional costume. Today we have a store in New York, and I just love it when Americans come in and buy the lehenga choli and the sari to wear to Indian weddings, because Indian weddings have become such a big thing all over the world. And I think it's something you feel happy about. Certainly makes me happy.
Good. So maybe let's a few minutes left. Talk about your future plans for the business. Where do you see the business going? Obviously, you've got the CEO who can take care of the more business side. You can focus on the design side. Where do you see the business going?
I just see the company focusing a lot more today on grassroots, which is the label that we have to empower the craftswomen of India. We have quite a few grassroots stores opening up next year. And my firm belief is towards grassroots.
How about Indian design? How do you see that evolving, and Indian fashion? Where do you see that going broadly?
I think the Indian fashion industry today is at a wonderful stage. I think globally a lot of companies are looking at India, and I would really like to see Indian fashion on the global map in let's say in the next 5 years, and I think that will happen for sure.
And Indian villages, obviously with your work and work of other companies as well to empower villages, particularly women, how do you see that helping modern India?
I think it would be wonderful if companies like Uniqlo came in and started empowering artisans in villages of India, and we need many more like them.
Definitely. And next year's collection, or next season's collection, are you working on that at the moment? What?
Oh yes, we're working on a summer collection, which is again with crafts of India.
So how your design process, how does that work? You'll travel around India, you'll take inspiration, or maybe from other places as well, and where do you take inspiration from?
I think here when we're working on the next collection, specifically with artisans, it's not about taking inspiration by what they do, it's actually going into the village, understanding their craft and understanding how you can use that craft to make it wearable to the consumer. So today today that's what my focus is, and that's what the artisans need. They just need design intervention from qualified designers who know how to translate their craft into something that you would like, or somebody else in the audience would like and buy, because they have the skill but they don't have the knowledge of design, and that's the partnership I see strengthening in future.
And we had I think the minister's left the room, so we can talk about the minister. She's obviously the Minister for Textiles as well. How can the government help you and your industry with regards to policies? What needs to be done?
I think the most successful government partnership we have is with the government of Maharashtra, which are the rural communities we have in Maharashtra, and that's been a very, very successful partnership and has been very speedy, very quick. We have, like I said, 8 centers, and we already have in the pipeline another 22 more to take it to 30. So I think one needs more successful government-private partnerships, exactly like the one that we have with the Maharashtra government.
Good stuff. Okay, well, thank you for your time, Anita. We'll leave it there. And some messages from Anita on how she's working to empower rural India, rural Indian village, and their women working there. And thank you for your time. We'll go to the next session.